And we're good. All right. Hey, greetings again from the third season cooking kitchen. I'm so pleased you're here. I have a little wee beverage, coffee beverage, really good. Tonight, we're making, or today, this morning, depending when you're watching it, we're going to make Vietnamese Bun. If you haven't noticed, I'm not Vietnamese. Shocker. Is true. But this is a really sweet restaurant recipe that I've adapted in several ways. I want to do about 14,000 things in this meal. So we're going to have a bit of fun trying to get caught up. Firstly, this is the chicken that I had marinating from yesterday. So I'm going to put this into the oven to marinate, or to cook. So I've got my oven set to 425 Celsius, which I think is around 425 Fahrenheit, which is around 220 or so Celsius. Google, if you're in the UK or Europe or somewhere that's a Celsius place, Google 425C to Fahrenheit, and it'll tell you what the numbers should be. Okay, now I'm doing a smaller pan of this because I did one earlier to try and get this ready so that we could pull it together quickly. And that seems to be all I've got there. We're going to put that in the fridge, in the sink. Okay. Just going to spread this out a little bit differently here in the pan, just so it's out. And this gets cooked up in the oven for about 16 to 18 minutes. And then I broil it for just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to put the timer on for 10 minutes, let that cook. This is what it looks like when it's out of the oven. Okay, it's pretty magic stuff. Now, not only are we doing Boon, but I came across this recipe for what was called unicorn noodles. And I thought, totes, man, I want to do this. So I've practiced this a couple times because sometimes when you do the thing the first time, it doesn't always work out. You start off with a very, very thin but a slicing of red cabbage, and that's going to create the start of the magic. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our water that's near boiling, and it's it is actually in fact boiling, because I'm trying to get many things done here all at once. And we're just going to drop the red cabbage into the water. Now, I would normally have used a bigger pot, but my bigger pot is being used to finish making Greek yogurt. So, oh well, that's the way that goes. We're going to turn that back up, wait for it to come to a boil. The trick behind Boon, to make it really good, to make this is chicken, by the way, to make it really yummy and flavorful, is to marinate it. So let's start by making the marinade. We have a shallot, which I'm not going to use because I have one mostly already peeled here. I'm going to put it on my reading glasses so that I don't take off the end of my fingers, which would not be fun. Just saying. Nobody wants to see that. And we're just going to peel this back a bit. Because I'm making only 2 chicken breasts, I only need to use 1 shallot here, 1 small shallot. You can use more. You do you, follow your heart. If you want to have lots of shallot-y goodness, by all means, do that. And then, we just sort of get that in there. Now, I'm going to be doing this marinade in the most amazing of marinade vessels, known as a Ziploc bag. So we're just going to drop that in there. And I'm just going to grab the last little bits of it. Away we go. So we have our shallots. To this, I'm going to add a sprinkle of garlic powder. You can use real garlic if you want to. In fact, it's probably better. That's probably about a ½ teaspoon or so. So we'll just add a little bit more. Again, it's garlic. You do you, follow your heart. Garlic is lovely. If you're using fresh garlic, by all means, use whatever, at least a clove, maybe 2. Okay, now, to that, I'm actually reading my recipe. One of the few recipes I read every time I do this is this one, because I'm still not familiar with it, even though I've made it at least half a dozen or 10 times, but I like to be careful with it. So if you're making a lot, you would use a 1/4 cup. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons, which is 1/8 of a cup, okay, of just plain old-fashioned white sugar, yay. Then to that, we're going to add fish sauce. This is the brand I bought this time around. Any fish sauce will do. It's all, I don't know, fish sauce has a really kind of icky flavor, but when you mix it with other things, it's magic, okay? To that, we're going to add dark soy sauce or thick soy sauce, and we're going to add about 1/2 tablespoon of that. So we're going to add a little bit less than 1/2 tablespoon because of our fact that we're only doing we're not doing a full massive batch of it, okay? Then we're going to add oil, so just some sunflower oil. And again, we're going to add a couple of tablespoons of that. The great thing about oil and when you're doing a marinade is it helps balance out all the different flavors, also helps your meat cook in a way that doesn't overdo it, okay? And that is all the ingredients of the marinade, okay? Now, to this, we're going to add some chicken breasts. So these are just frozen chicken breasts that have been thawed out. So when I buy chicken breasts, I wait for them to go on sale, and then I buy them and I freeze them. I'm just mixing this up a little bit just to try and get it along. And you can see it looks ooey gooey goodness, okay? Or ooey gooiness. I'm not sure which way you want to look at it. We're going to just open these and slip this out. And we're going to open this one. And we're going to slip it out. And then all we're going to do, throw these right away, is we're just going to slice this up as thin as you want. So I've made my slices over there quite thin, as you can see. And so we're just going to slice this up. Now, as I said, I've been marinating this since yesterday because I was planning ahead. If you aren't, you can marinate this for as little as 20, 30 minutes. 3 to 4 hours is better. Overnight, magic. The next day, sure, why not? Which I guess is overnight. But, you know, who's counting? Okay, and then we're just going to do this last one. And what's going to happen here is as we pull this together, we're just going to dump this into our marinade bag. I'm losing the lemon that's on the table. I'm just going to wipe my hands off because they're now covered in lovely chicken. I'm just going to give it a quick rinse just because it's chicken, right? And, you know, food safety says you should at least pay attention to what's going on with chicken. And I, by the way, when it comes to chicken, I believe in food food safety with chicken. You know, there are certain things that I'm not the hugest believer in. Chicken and food safety, I'm kind of down with that. So then you just sort of seal this up a little bit. We're going to pull some of the air out. And all we're going to do is make sure this is nice and sealed. And we're just going to do this. Okay, so we're just going to smoosh it all together. And that smooshing all together is mixing everything up, coating our chicken. And then what I do with this in the fridge is every couple of hours that I think of it, so, you know, before I go to bed tonight, because this is evening in my time zone, I'm going to pull it out of the fridge and just smoosh it around a little bit more. Tomorrow morning, I'll pull it out, smoosh it around a little bit more, and away we go. If you want to, instead of baking this, you can fry it. If you want to fry it, I would say use most of the marinade with it, and you'll be golden. Okay? So that's now ready to go into the fridge. Bob's your uncle. Just put that over there. Pick up the lemon. Okay, so to do the next stage, I need to get rid of this and get a better one, or a clean one. We got that's been in there for 7 minutes. I'm going to now put the vermicelli noodles in. Vermicelli noodles look like this. Rice noodles or mung bean noodles. I'm not sure which ones they are. And I'm just going to do one flat of these. Now these only take 3 to 4 minutes. You can see I've got 2 minutes left on my TV. Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but that purple cabbage has made the water quite purpley, or red cabbage has made the water quite purpley. Okay, which is what we want. I'll explain why in a second. Now we're going to put the noodles in, and we're just going to fold those over. And again, if you were in, I'm going to do the horrendous thing. I'm going to cut these. Now, the theory goes that if you cut noodles in an Asian kitchen, you are cutting your luck. Sure, okay. We'll see what happens with that. I've been doing it for years. Works fine for me. Now, so this just takes 3 to 4 minutes. And we're just going to give this a little stir. The great thing about vermicelli noodles is that they don't take long at all, and you can see how beautifully purple that water is. Oh my goodness gracious, doesn't that look lovely? Okay. Now the other thing is, by adding the cabbage to the water, you're actually going to add a different vegetable to this than the usual cucumber and carrot. All right. So we're just going to let that boil away for another couple minutes. There's 1 more minute left on the oven. So we're going to pull this out, and we're going to give the chicken a flip. So you can see here that the chicken is getting very nice and cooked up. And you can also see that some of the marinade is cooking onto the sheet. That's why I like to line things in tin foil. Now, when it comes to cleanup, you just throw the tin foil away, and your baking sheet is mostly clean. Put that back in. If I'm not mistaken, that was 10 minutes to begin with, I think. Put this in for 6. When you slice the chicken up thin, there's lots of different ways of having it of cooking it and not having it take a very long time to cook. So that's one way to have it cook relatively quickly, is just to slice it very thin. Okay, so traditionally we do it with cucumber. So we're just going to cut a little bit of cucumber here. And I'm going to put that over here. Now, cucumber to carrot, no big deal. If you want to cut your carrots in slightly thinner batons, you are free to do so. If you don't, that's okay too. All right, put this off to the side. Now, where are we here? This has been in for long enough. So, and you can see here, notice how fast those noodles have gotten really thin. Now again, I'm going to do the hideously weird thing for Asian cooks, but it works out easier for me to eat. Just going to take some kitchen shears, and I'm just going to cut the noodles a couple ways, a couple times. Okay. Now again, because often Boon is a semi-cold dish, I'm just going to empty this all in here, let it drain. And again, you can see the cabbage on top of the noodle, and it's looking really good. Oh, little shadows. Okay, it is. This is a real kitchen with real people living here. So it's not like a studio where you have all the lights getting rid of all the shadows. Now I'm going to do this for a very specific reason. I'm going to put this in 2 different bowls. Now, again, you can see, oh, look at that. The magic of purple noodles. Sweet. And you think to yourself, ooh, unicorn. Not yet. This is the magic that you are going to, this is science. Okay, maybe it's not. Yeah, it is science, but it's also fun. Okay, so we're going to throw some extra bits and pieces of cabbage in there. Now, when you're doing the Boon sauce, which you add to it afterwards, you use a lot of limes. Now, I'm not going to use limes because no time, but I do have lime juice. Okay. Now, to one of these, watch, we're going to do the magic. We're going to add just a little bit of lime juice to it. So that's probably about it. And you can see it's turning pink already. Okay. Oh, the magic. magic of food. Look at that magic happen. Unicorn. Okay. And so what we're going to do is, because that fork has lime juice, so it's that acid is what makes it switch to that color. We're going to push these noodles off to the side. We're going to take some / half of these noodles. We're going to put them in there. Okay. So now this bowl has pink and purple noodles. And this bowl has purple and pink noodles because they're reversed. The magic. Okay? All right. Next, we're going to hands. We're going to add some cucumber. And we're going to add some carrot. And again, if you want to slice it up finer, you can. There's no reason why you can't. And then we're going to just add some chicken to this. Just got my hands already. Here we go. And make it pretty so that when you serve it to somebody, they go, ooh, look at the magic of the unicorn noodles, right? And you don't want to cover them up. You want to keep them. Plus, this dish is like not only extremely colorful, it's fantastically tasty. Now, most restaurants you're going to go to will have some basil to put in there. I don't have any growing in my garden right now, so I can't use any. But if I did, I would. This is Boon sauce. This is often the sauce you see on the side. You just give this a quick squirt, and you can add more if you want to. And that has 1 minute. I'm just going to do this real quick, just to show you. You pull it out, and if this is fine for you, that's cooked. If you want to make it crispy, turn your oven off, put it on broil, turn that back on. I like to give these a flip just so they don't all get all cooked on one side. And I would put this back in for no more than 3 or 4 minutes. You'll notice I use timers for everything, and that's because it's easy to forget stuff when you don't have a timer on. So I'm just going to turn this timer off, turn it back on with 3 minutes, and back into the broiler. Our Boon here is ready to go. We have purple and pink, nice chickeny. This is the magic of our unicorn noodle. Now, that little bit of extra citrus flavor doesn't really change much, but we're going to cut our piece of chicken down a little bit, just so I can do both. A little bit of noodle. Again, this Boon is hot. You can do Boon cold, and that's perfectly fine. But you end up with oh man, so good. Citrusy, flavorful, fun, vegetables, chicken, magic. You can use beef, you can use pork, you can use whatever you want to. So here's the thing, folks. First off, like, subscribe, and share. Please share. I've got introduced to Vietnamese cooking probably 15, 20 years ago and fell in love with all those fresh fruit flavor, or fresh, savory, sweet, salty, sour flavors. And it's easy when you find the recipes. I'll post the recipes for the Boon sauce. I'll post the recipe for the marinade and the generalized instructions. But you see how easy it is. Give this a try. It's really yummy stuff. Third season cooking, that time in our lives when we were transitioning between one thing and the next, whether that is school to real life, whether that is high school to college, college to, again, real life, or maybe you're in a life transition, or you just want to learn how to cook and make some good food. This stuff is magic. You make this for somebody else, they're going to love it. Folks, thanks very much for tuning in. Third season cooking, glad you're here. Hope to see you again. Cheers.